I am worried. I am worried that we seem to have two classes of Nigerians. We have those who struggle for this democracy and those who still believe that this democracy be deepened. I could see hundreds and thousands of people demonstrating in the last 2 days. It's a sign that people's power is still very strong. And people's power, they cannot be cowed down. And anybody who refuses to bow to people's power, for me, I see those people in the class of those who want the democracy to fail. You mentioned the incidence form in a particular state in this country. The thing carried that started in 2015. No, 2015.
And we also use
incidence form. It's rigging form.
That's another name for it.
Yeah, that is the proper name for it. It's rigging form. And so you can fill as many incident form as possible and say those people have voted. And so
have been accredited.
So in a situation where in the one thing that we put it there is that they will say they have also voted, so you count them. So in a situation where you now have double process of collating results, that option that the Senate has given us is another rigging formula. Because the problem, what the senator refused to know, and that is exactly what I'm saying this morning, and I've said so on this program in the last few days, was that the outcome of 2003, 2007 election was that there was concern that there was rigging. And the rigging process starts from taking this same form they are talking about, from polling unit to the ward, from the ward to local government, and from local government to state,
and from state to the National Collation
Center. The figures change. So we are back to a terrible era where we are trying to erase. That's exactly what they are.
So on election day, Beavers, IREF may fail because of transmission of results.
They will make it to fail.
Manual collation, yes.
They will
deliberately make it to fail so that they will now resort to manual collation.
So it's a rigging formula that has been put in place. And for me, I saw some people applauding the senators. For me, I do not applaud them. For me, I deride them. For me, I say that they don't love this country.
Okay.
If they love this country, they will. Because when we don't get it right, from election, governor himself will be affected.
Absolutely. Tell me, I respected the Senate, which has been the provision in our Electoral Act. Whenever there's a problem anywhere, you postpone the election for 24 hours for that area. So if the transmission of results did not work, then you postpone the election. That's what happens to the next. Is it not the situation that always get on our hands?
The Nigerian Society of Engineers provided options. And they came out clearly, I commended them. They came out clearly that the transmission of results is possible in any part of Nigeria.
So those that know say it's possible, and it's not possible.
They are engineers.
Yes, they will tell you that.
I commend them. In fact, the way they came out boldly, I commend them.
Yes.
They are not partisans. These are technical people. These are people who are sound.
That's what you're saying. Teve, the Senate believes it will not work. That's their thinking.
I think what, good morning, Amechi, good morning, listener. I think what the Senate tried to do was to give those who wanted e-transmission a part of what they wanted, and to give those who wanted transfer a part of what they wanted, so that everybody should go home. Whether they are completely happy or not, at least they will think or assume that they have gotten something, from the national debate. But again, what has also happened is with the voting, those Senate has successfully divided those who were for electronic transmission of results. You can see the reaction. The ADC is saying, "Oh yes, it's people's power," and all of that. PDP, the Turaki PDP, saying a different article, saying a different thing, and all of that. But all these people were saying about the same thing, and that's my concern. But I'm happy that the process, like I keep saying, is not over. Yesterday, they also increased the number of their conference committee from 9 to 12. So the process is not over. We still have a window of opportunity where they have to reconcile, and I hope that the reason will prevail that the version passed by the House of Representatives in respect of this section of clause 60,
section 60 sub 3,
will prevail eventually. If not, what happened in 2015 will repeat itself. Don't forget, a particular part of the country went by the incident,
incidence form.
The incidence form.
Why one particular part of the country was doing carry that?
You saw that even the president at the time, the carry that rejected.
The other part was doing incidence
form and turning out figures, and all of that. And I can tell you that without provision, if you have been at a collation center, you will understand how it works. It will be such that even at the polling unit, Nigerians, when they vote, most times they go back home. It's just a few persons, and in 2023, what we saw in the city center, that people stood by, to defend their votes, and all of that. In most parts of the rural areas, when people vote, they go, and that is where they will target, where people will vote and go home. The party agents and the politicians that will be around say, hey, this thing now, let's just all agree that what's that thing now? The beavers there's no network. There's no communication. Don't forget, if you look at, maybe you get the exact wordings of what the Senate said. They said, if you are unable to transmit or due to communication, I was trying to understand what that communication eventually.
In their head, there will be a communication problem.
And all of that. So the politicians will agree. They will agree that, look, there's no network. There's no network here. Even though all on their phones, they are using their phones to call other places to find out what is happening in other places. They will agree. And, we go with, the hard copy so that they'll be able to mutilate the figures, and all of that. That opening, that window the Senate is dangerous. And, like I said, the opportunity we have is the conference committee, and I hope that reason will prevail. And I remember I said those who were for e-transmission have been divided, which means the pressure that was on the Senate would have reduced by today by 50 or 60 or even 70%. If not, I would have said that pressure needs to continue for the conference committee to adopt the House of Representatives version. But if we lose this opportunity, 2023 election, 2027. I'm sorry.
Some opposition leaders are already telling me if it is not clearly stated that electronic transmission of results is the only way out, then they say two options. Some of them spoke to me yesterday, like they said they will do civil disobedience, and they say they will also boycott that election in 2027. That's what some of them are saying.
And the implication of that is very grave. If you look at the boycott of 1964-65 election, set the stage for what became of the First Republic, because OBGA, which was made up of the Action Group, the NCNC, and NEPU, and then the Middle Belt of TACA, they boycotted the election. And that process...
And we never recovered from it.
We didn't.
Okay, now let's quickly go to our YouTube channel where Omenka Slim Kings is saying, good morning to Political Platform crew. I am in my early 30s. The last election was my first and will be my last if the election results will not be transmitted real time. I will never, ever vote again. So you see the danger, the Senate, how they are destroying our hard-earned democracy, the democracy none of them fought for, none of them sacrificed for. Kunle.
Good morning, Amici. Good morning to my colleagues and to all our listeners and those who are joining us on YouTube. There was something I said on our sister station earlier this morning while speaking to NLB, one of the social...
The situation room
of the situation room, when she was on Kakaki, the African Voice. I have 4 children. 3 of them are of voting age. None of them has ever told me, where do we register to vote? Not one has asked me, where's the nearest place we can register to vote? And if I use these 3 individuals, though they are my children, if I use them as a barometer, it will tell you why you had that poor turnout in 2023 elections that made only 8 million Nigerians vote for a president who will preside over a country of over 200 million people. 8 million voters voting for one president, over 200 million people. That tells you there's a huge disparity. Now, the confidence that people have in the system is shrinking further. There was a huge gap before. Now, if we lose this opportunity, we risk losing it at all. If that boycott happens, then what do we get? But the other question, Amechi, is simply that some time ago, I'm sure you recall, Teve, that we received videos on TikTok of bandits showing off cash that they've taken as ransom. They transmitted live in the bush.
Where the Nigerian government
live from those locations. And we are told, I don't know how true it is, that 93% of Nigeria has been covered by the telecoms companies. The
in
networks.
2023 election, Yaga Africa said from the data they collected, IREV worked perfectly in 93% of areas where elections held. In 2023, so by
2026.
Yes, it would have increased to say 98 or 99.
It would have become better. So I do not understand that argument or that lacuna that the Senate has plugged into this section 60 sub 3 again. It is just a window to allow them to manipulate and do whatever it is they want to do. We need to remind them, 1, they work for us, we don't work for them. They don't own us, we sent them there.
They are our employees.
They are our employees.
We are the employers.
Yes, they must understand that. The senators and the members of the House of Reps must understand that. One of the things that also amazed me, I was following the protests online yesterday. And funny enough, the pressure was on the Senate. It was the spokesman of the House of Reps, Honorable Akinrotimi, that came to address the protesters. The spokesman of the Senate didn't come. What does that tell you? We have heard you, but we don't care. That's my reading. I hope I'm wrong. Okay? So the Senate, and indeed the conference committee, must go out there and do what Nigerians want. Because not only do Nigerians insist on what they want, on their rights, Nigerians are tired of having people who don't truly represent them in government at all levels.
Okay. So why we're raising these issues is because when that time comes, they will say, did you sound the alarm bell? Did you raise it? Did you shout from the rooftop? Did you remind us of the dangers? And that's exactly what we are doing here. We are doing it because we are patriotic Nigerians that believe in this peace, stability, growth, and development of our country. And we will not fold our hands to watch a few selfish politicians truncate all we have been laboring to achieve. And that's why we have continued to call them out and will continue to do so. There are dangers associated with what the Senate is trying to do. They will say we can do it and get away with it. Their objective is to do it and get away with it, but they don't think about the wider implications. And that's why we are shouting here from the rooftop, lone voice in the wilderness. We need to save our nation. And let it be on record that we spoke up, that what the Senate is doing is a huge threat to our democracy and an existential threat to the Nigerian nation. When we'll go on a break to hear from you. Do we have commercial break? Yes, we have. After the commercial break, we'll take your mails. I'll be telling you what the ACN wanted.
The Action Congress of defunct.
Yes, Action Congress of Nigeria. Talking about is part of the APC now. What they were saying about use of electronic voting. They went beyond use
electronic
of
transmission of
to
results.
transmit. They say use electronic voting. You go beyond it, and that's the only way.
Which will enable us to do all our election in one day.
That's the only way you can achieve credible election. In 2015, I will read a report from the Nation's newspapers, January 13, 2013, not even 2015. Okay. In January 13, 2013, in February, March 2027, Nigeria is not ripe to
2026.
I'm moving to the election. Nigeria, according to some of these people, Nigerians is not ripe to transmit results, not to talk of voting. And you wonder, what kind of human beings? Do they have a sense of history? Do they go back to read or listen to themselves, the statements they made in the past? How will you view such people? But all this after we come back from this break.
Good morning, Nigerians. You're now listening to the mail segment on Political Platform. I am Aricha Ujiti. First mail coming from Kolawole, writing from Rochester, Minnesota, in USA. Says, I would like to comment on the issue of mandatory transmission of election results. Nigerians are angry. Nigerians are tired of disputed elections, tired of court cases, tired of being told, go to court. So now we are told the solution is simple. Make electronic transmission of results mandatory. It sounds modern, it sounds progressive, it sounds like justice. But let us be honest. Technology cannot substitute integrity. We are behaving as though once results are transmitted electronically, this honesty will evaporate. It would not. Technology does not change human intent. It only reflects it. If officials are willing to manipulate a manual process, they will manipulate a digital one. You cannot code morality into a server. Now, here's the real question. If electronic transmission becomes mandatory, what happens when it fails? And if it fails, network outages, power interruptions, device malfunctions, human error. This is Nigeria. We know this reality. So what then? Do we cancel those results or do we create exceptions? If we create exceptions, on what basis? Who decides which failure is genuine and which is convenient? The moment you allow non-transmitted results to stand, you have already weakened the mandate. And the moment the law becomes unclear, judges are dragged into political warfare. Then comes the familiar chorus. The courts are compromised. No, sometimes the courts are simply interpreting a confused law. A law that mandates electronic transmission while quietly preparing to excuse its failure is not reform, it is contradiction. And contradiction brings litigation. The uncomfortable truth is this: Nigeria does not suffer from a technology deficit, we suffer from an integrity deficit. Countries with far less technology conduct credible elections because dishonesty has consequences. Institutions enforce standards. Rules mean something. Here, we are trying to digitize a moral problem. Technology without accountability simply digitizes this function. Electronic transmission can be useful, But without clear legal standards, enforceable consequences, and institutional discipline, it will not save us. We do not need magical devices. We need moral courage. Until integrity is non-negotiable, no mission will rescue our democracy. This is the hard truth. John Peters, writing from Port Harcourt, says, yesterday, the Nigerian Senate, responding to sustained public pressure, made adjustment to the much-debated Electoral Act Amendment Bill to allow for real-time electronic transmission of results to the INEC Result Viewing Portal, IREV. However, the Senate inserted a controversial clause: in the event of network failure, results may still be transmitted manually. This clause is the major problem. While the amendment appears progressive on the surface, many Nigerians are deeply dissatisfied. They believe the so-called manual option is nothing more than a backdoor for electoral manipulation. Nigerians are clear and consistent in their demand. There must be total, outright, and compulsory electronic transmission of results in real time without any manual alternative. Our recent history justifies this concern. In the 2023 general elections, virtually every aspect of the process worked smoothly, from voter accreditation to National Assembly elections. Yet, mysteriously, during the presidential election, the network allegedly failed nationwide. Till today, no convincing explanation has been given. Noble Collins, writing from Abuja, says, Dr. Amechi's statement yesterday on this program left me chuckling. He repeatedly wondered about the motivation behind those taking what I term as anti-good reasoning stance on democracy and governance, particularly regarding securing legal backing for electronic transmission of election results before the next election. I'd often wondered the same thing about individuals, especially politicians. I also would have been wondering about the lawmakers currently opposing this move to legalize mandatory electronic transmission of results, despite the fact that I know they know its potential to restore voter confidence. However, by wondering about such individuals stopped after the 2023 election when I watched a Lagos-based politician who opposed a gubernatorial candidate's eligibility due to his mother's Igbo heritage. And ironically, this politician has 4 sons with an Igbo woman, the same background he opposed. This led me to ask, does he genuinely love his 4 sons? Would he want them to succeed politically if there or any of them choose to pursue a political career in the future, given his love for his sons, why oppose someone with a similar background? And if Young Kuntia, writing from Sango Ota, Ogun State, says, it surprises me when the National Assembly, which is supposed to be the people's representative, is now speaking another language entirely different from the language of the people. The people want real-time electronic transmission of election results, but the Senate now seems to be playing hide-and-seek games, giving conditions to the real-time transmission of election results, making it manually and electronically. This is a double system and a double standard which must not be allowed to stand, because any law that provides alternative means has already provided a way of escape and excuses, as well as watering down its essence. The Senate also said that their villages do not have networks should be ashamed of themselves for occupying an office of this magnitude without meaningful impact in their communities and villages upon huge amounts collected annually for constituency projects. We are in a digital world where technology has become our way of life. Therefore, the INEC must be mandated to use its budget of over 1 trillion naira now to advance in electronic voting and electronic transmission of election results. This is the voice of the people. Enough is enough. And indeed, that is all we can take on your mails today. Keep sending your mails with your name and where you're writing from to politicalplatform@dargroup.com. And you can also join Political Platform live on our YouTube at Raypower 100.5 FM.
Thank you so much for the mails. Now, what happens to backup, plan B, plan C? Those that are shouting, what if it fails? You plan for failure. You make provisions for primary, secondary, and tertiary options. That's what we should be dissipating our energy with. If I'm using one internet, I always have a backup in case this one fails. So I don't understand. But let's get back to what the ACN is saying in 2015, as reported by the Nation newspapers, January 13, 2015. 13. The Action Congress of Nigeria says Nigeria must use electronic voting in 2015 in order to ensure the integrity of the elections. In a statement signed by the National Publicity Secretary, know him, Lai Mohammed, Uncle Lai, he said, with electronic voting, the overall cost of the election will be far less. There will be stability in the polity. The atmosphere of war usually associated with elections will disappear, and the involvement of the security agencies will be de-emphasized. So he says, we assure INEC of our full support towards using electronic voting in 2015. We also appeal to all political parties, civil society organizations, and indeed all Nigerians to join us in pushing for a system that will eliminate the role of thugs and sideline votes thieving during our election, in addition to make our election free, fair, and credible. So electronic voting is the apex of it all. Below the electronic voting, you have the electronic transmission, which those in government now are telling us is not possible.
13 years after.
In 2013, they said, go higher, it's possible. Oh my God.
Well, you know, it's, when I see references to the thing that the provision that's made, whether it will fail or not fail, the question I ask is, how was the APC membership registration? How was it carried out?
It was e-registration.
E-registration. And some state, if you see, look at the papers today, I saw one state that is applauding themselves that they have successfully done it. Borno State, a whole full page in about some newspapers applauding what they have done about e-registration. So if a party,
their server did not fail,
if a party,
it was able to host.
Yeah.
They said the last time they said they had 11 million members registered electronically
across the country. If they can succeed in that, then why are they saying that the electronic transmission result will fail? How did they do it? How did they do it?
Okay.
I think,
and unfortunately for me, the thing is like, why I'm asking this question because the Senate is heavily populated by APC members.
Yes.
ACN that you mentioned is just a part of APC. Remember, there is ANPP, part of ANPP.
The APC in power. The APC in power under Buhari was CPC. Is the ACN APC that's in power?
You'll be shocked that not everybody in government, supports that there shouldn't be e-transmission of results real time. It may not be completely a right, assumption or conclusion.
But there are not many any statements.
Let them speak.
No, it's a legislative business. By the time you start talking, you now start saying that.
No, let them speak. They have a constitutional right to speak.
Bones okay. They should speak.
Whatever they want to do.
Well, Amechi, I the only thing I want to say now is that I want to thank Kolawole Olanioye for the mail he sent from Minnesota in the US. Thank you for that mail, Kolawole. We appreciate it. And we can assure you that Nigeria has grown beyond what the Senate is doing right now. And I can tell you that from this studio, we'll continue to put on the pressure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll come back tomorrow for another edition. Have a good time. My name is Amechi Anapwe.